until you understand what you're offering vibrationally, then you cannot be the deliberate creator of your own experience. If you are offering vibrations unaware of their content, then you are not the deliberate creator. We call that creating by default. Of course, you cannot offer vibration and be unaware of your vibration for long, really, because law of attraction brings you manifestations that match your vibration. So once you understand that what you're thinking and what you're getting always matches, then after the fact, once you've got it, then you can understand it was your vibration. Not as rewarding in that way, however, to receive it and then say, oh yeah, that was my vibration. I didn't do it on purpose. I just vibrated all over the place. I vibrate on a lot of things, you say, and I get a lot of things. Some of them I like, some of them I don't like. We say, might be worth paying attention to what you're thinking about. But then you notice that that is extremely cumbersome. To monitor thoughts sort of makes you crazy. To sort out the thoughts that are moving around your environment, very difficult task. So we suggest that rather than monitoring thoughts or trying to catalog thoughts and put them in appropriate pile and inappropriate pile, that instead you just use the guidance system that you were born with. This magnificent guidance system that will always help you to know if you are on course to the things that you want or not. Your guidance system is always calculating from where you are, where you want to be. So where you have been truly is irrelevant. Why does where you've been factor in at all? For one reason. Because where you've been got your attention. And as it got your attention, you began offering vibrations about it. And as you began offering vibrations about it, you learned patterns of vibrations, habits of vibrations. You call them beliefs. A belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. So once you have decided something in your now, there's a pretty good chance for most of you that you're going to continue to decide it, to continue to think it, to continue to believe it, to continue to offer a vibration about it. So you continue to take your vibrational point wherever you are, which is why as you move through space and time, often faces change, places change, but the essence of what you're living doesn't change very much because your vibrational patterns don't change very much. Once you've decided something, you keep beating the drum of it. And as you beat the drum of it, you offer a signal. And as you offer a signal, law of attraction matches your signal. So you say, I'm stuck. And we say, it's not possible. You can't be stuck because everything's in motion. And you say, no, I'm pretty sure I'm stuck. It feels stuck. And we say, you can't be stuck because everything's in motion. You say, no, I'm pretty sure I'm stuck. And we say, you can't be stuck because things are always changing. But if it feels like you're stuck, it's because things are changing over and over and over again to the same thing. They're changing to the same thing. So let's say your body is sick and you would like it to change to a body that's well. It can do that easily. But if you keep beating the drum of being sick, if you keep talking about how long you've been sick, if you keep going to the doctor and he keeps taking pictures of how sick you are, and tying labels to your toe that indicate how sick you are. Well, that's sick, isn't it? Then what happens is you keep changing to the same thing over and over again. So you say, it isn't changing, and we say, but it is. It's changing. It must be changing. Everything's changing. You can't stand still. That's like listening to a song on the radio and saying, I like that note, hold it. It can't. It's going to keep offering more signal, and the radio receiver is going to keep receiving and translating the signal. You can't hold the song in place, and you can't hold the thought in place, and you can't hold your experience in place. It is changing. Leave here saying, my life is changing. It's changing. Is it changing to what I want, or is it changing to more of what I've already got? You don't really like the word change that way, do you? You don't like the word changing unless things are becoming different. But we want you to think of it in terms of it's changing to the similar thing over and over and over again, because then you become empowered about changing it to different things. You can't find a thought that's very far from the thought you've been thinking. Someone said to us recently, Abraham, I know you say that I think the thoughts, but it feels to me like my thoughts think me. But a lot of times it doesn't feel like I have chosen them at all. I just wake up and there they are. They are sort of consuming. And what we want to say to you is, you can change those thoughts, you can change those vibrations, but don't ask yourself to do something that is impossible. Don't set your radio dial on 6:30 a.m. and expect to hear what's being broadcast on 96 FM. They are different frequencies. So, nobody else has to figure this out. Don't worry if your government doesn't understand it. Don't worry if your mother doesn't understand it. Don't worry if the people that you work with don't understand it. They don't have to understand it. Only you have to understand it. And when you understand it, you have control of the circumstances and events of your life. It is our promise to you that once you clean up your vibration, once you offer a vibration that matches your desire, everything that you want will flow easily, effortlessly, quickly into your experience. Nice to know. So, as we feel you, we can only feel one bugaboo that is coming from you, and that is, do I have the right to create my own reality? And we say, you better, because nobody else is doing it. And think about how wonderful that is. Imagine a village of 1,000 people. 1,000 people all having experiences with each other, and each one getting a new idea of what would make his individual experience better. And Source saying, but of course. And not just one is being answered, every single one. Isn't that a nice place to live? Some place where everyone has direct access to the infinite source of whatever is desired. There's no competition, there's no shortage. In fact, the infinite stream expands in proportion to the desires that are being offered. The imbalance that we see in your earth, time, space reality is that the contrast has caused you, as billions of people, to launch incredible desires that are out there in a vibrational escrow while you hold to mores and ideals and beliefs and rules and systems that consistently hold you in vibrational discord with the things that you're asking for. And so there's a frustration level as innately you know that things should be going well for all, and then some figure it out and get into a place of allowing, and then others condemn them for getting all the good stuff. And we say, you only can teach through the clarity of your example. And when you thrive, you are an example of thriving. And if others are interested and they ask you, then you can tell them, I learned to focus upon what made me feel good, and then good things came to me. I used to focus on things that didn't feel so good, and things that didn't feel so good came to me. I began to watch others. I began to make the correlation of how they seemed to feel and what was happening to them. And I came to the clear conclusion that we all create our own reality, and that we get what we think about, and how we feel is always an indicator of what's coming. And then it became easy for me to guide myself. When I go to a buffet table and I get something in my mouth that tastes awful, I don't do it again. When I turn on the television and I see something that horrifies me, I turn it off and look for something that feels better. When I get in the middle of a conversation with someone that's so annoying and uncomfortable, I say, excuse me, please. I walk away. When I reminisce on my own life and I find a thought that was painful when it happened and painful every time I've thought about it, I release it as I reach for another thought that feels better. I've discovered that I can control the way I feel because I can direct my attention to subjects. I am the creator of my own reality. That's what you want to tell them. What are you wanting to talk about? Some things?
Okay. I tap in, tune in, and download information that comes through me, like a channel. And sometimes I sense that it feels like the group of Abraham coming through because the information is always law of attraction.
Well, what happens is everyone has access to this stream of infinite intelligence, and it does not matter what label you give it. In other words, some call it God. Endless religions have been formed because people have tapped into that. But as you receive it and translate it, it is translated through your translator. Now, as you've been listening to Esther's translation of Abraham for a number of years, it is logical that as you become familiar with her matching of words with energy, that you now would find that same matching the easiest matching. In other words, that's just logical. when Esther first began receiving us, she had no religious basis, and she had some basis of translation in that Jerry had been reading to her the Seth materials for some time. So Jerry had been reading and trying to decipher Seth, and Esther had been listening. She was sort of on the peripheral of it. But Esther could feel a sort of intuitive recognition of much that she was hearing, even though there was not a conscious understanding of it. So when Esther meditated and made her vibrational connection to what we are calling this energy stream with the label of Abraham, Esther did not have a vocabulary that would support the blocks of thought that she was receiving. There were two primary sentences that Jerry and Esther had taken from the Seth material that had resonated with them, although they did not understand them. One, very powerful, was, "You are the creator of your own reality." And Jerry kept saying, "Okay, so how do I do that?" And the other was, "Your point of power is in the present." Neither one of them really understood the impact of those words, but those words were evoking from them stronger desire for stronger clarity. So as Esther sat in meditation and managed to align herself literally with the signal that is the Abraham stream of consciousness, which is the Christ consciousness, which is the Buddha consciousness, which is the energy stream of teachers that has always been present and available to this planet. As Esther tapped into that stream, and Jerry literally summoned it by his continual prodding and probing and wanting to know, Esther, at this unconscious level, began the slow, methodical matching of words with the blocks of thoughts that she was receiving. And over a period of many, many years, received the block of thought and then reached around in her vocabulary and in her experience and found words that matched what was meant. She was a wonderful vortex for us to flow through because she did not have a lot of decisions that were already made. She did not have a pile of beliefs that caused her to go off on some goose chase or on some familiar tangent. She found this new way of expressing the block of thought that she was receiving. In many ways, you could say she formed a new language. While they are not new words, it was a new combining of words with new meaning. And so then those like you who are also reaching and teaching, when you click into these words that over a period of many years were honed into something that was meaningful because it matched both what you understood in your vocabulary, in your physical terms, and it matched what we really meant vibrationally, then when someone like you or Wayne Dyer or any number of magnificent teachers hears those words, they resonate with you at very core place because they are vibrationally compatible with both things that you are trying to merge. In other words, the physical structure and the non-physical structure are coming together. So now, as you tap into the energy stream from your point of understanding, you are not limited only to the words that Esther has fashioned and found. You are finding your own way of explaining it. You are living your own analogies. In other words, it doesn't become just a regurgitation of what you've heard on the Abraham tapes. It becomes your own experience, your own unique formatting, your own co-creation with the energy stream, you see.
So when I sense that I'm tapping into what I call another group, because the energy is really different, still very positive and pure feeling, and getting information that I have no clue what it is.
Well, first of all, you couldn't be tapping into it if you were not asking for it. It's a vibrational match to something in your vibration. So we don't think that you are as beyond your ability to understand it as it feels to you at first. In other words, this is sort of what it was like for Esther, because she wasn't asking for it as such. So as it was coming, it felt vague, it felt confusing, it felt really uninteresting in many ways. And then Jerry would say, "No, Esther, this is really good. This is really good stuff." And then Esther would say, "Promise me you won't tell anyone. Promise me that you won't tell anyone what we're doing here," because she couldn't evaluate it. She couldn't feel it from her standpoint. She was in a different mode, you see.
Well, I think I'm complete because I went out of my head. Thank you so much.